Zionsville Plan Commission meeting of Monday, April 18th, 2022. Please start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roger, Wayne, who's taking roll?
I'll take care of that.
Wayne, all right.
Mr. Franz,
Present.
Mrs. Grabanowski,
Present.
Mr. Jones,
Present.
Mrs. Walker,
Present.
Mr. Lake,
Present.
Mrs. Mack.
Present.
And all 6 members are present. In your packet is a set of minutes from the March 21st, 2022 Plan Commission meeting. Is there any comments, additions, deletions to those minutes? If there are none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Motion carries 6-0. Those approved. At this point in time, is there anybody online who would want to be recognized in the minutes? No one? All right. Zelonis, what's her first name?
Sally.
Sally Zelonis. Okay. All right, we have a continuance request, docket number 2022-15 RP. The Club at Holiday Farms, replat of Holiday Farms, Section 2, Lot F28. 10571 Pete Dye Ridge, Zionsville. Petition for the approval of a replat of Holiday Farms, Section 2, Lot F28 to reduce the platted front setback line in the Holiday Farms PUD Planned Unit Development Zoning District. Is there anybody present, or is this just a request from them? Wayne, Roger.
I was under the impression someone was going to be online, but
There
if
she
not,
is.
Well, no, this is
No,
Heather
that's-
James, next matter.
Oh, next matter. Okay.
RDC attorney.
Okay, my mistake.
It appears no one is online. I thought there was going to be someone online to
Okay.
represent, but
All right.
they have submitted a request for this continuance.
Okay. Is there any discussion of this matter? If not, is there a motion to continue this to May 16th? Is that correct? Monday, May 16th, Plan Commission meeting?
I move that we continue it until Monday, May 16th.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Motion's continued. On to new business, docket number 2022-24 MPR, Zionsville Redevelopment Commission, 11,500 to 12,065 North Michigan Road, Zionsville, adoption of a plan commission order regarding establishment of an economic development area, approval of declaratory resolution and economic development plan, EDP, for the Michigan Road Economic Development Area. Petitioner present online, please proceed.
Mr. Franz, I need to recuse myself of this matter.
Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Franz, I'm happy to start with a quick introduction.
Okay.
But certainly on your screen is Heather James with Ice Miller. She's serves with the Redevelopment Commission here as support legal for their efforts. Certainly the matter that's in front of you is associated in part with the farm. Certainly it's a PUD project that some of you recall from nearly 10 years ago as a project. Certainly here we are today talking about the creation of economic development area, which both encapsulates this property as well as extends northerly along Michigan Road to a terminus at it's Greenfield Avenue there per the maps. Certainly this effort is one that you may recall this process. Some of you may recall from prior exercises. Last was 2019 with the creation of the Holiday Farms TIF area. But stopping there with that quick introduction, certainly now turning to Ms. James to walk through the technical side of what's in front of you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Wayne. So before you have a
Would
order.
you introduce yourself, address, please?
My address? Sure. Hi, I'm Heather
Name and
James.
address.
Heather James with Ice Miller, bond counsel to the town, and my address is 2122 North Alabama Street in
Perfect.
Indiana. Okay, so before you this evening is an order to consider approval of the declaratory resolution that was adopted by the Redevelopment Commission on March 28th And then attached to that declaratory resolution is also an economic development plan creating this new Michigan Road Economic Development Area. So just so that you're aware of the process, the first step in the process was adoption of that resolution by the Redevelopment Commission. The second step is to come before you all for you to consider whether or not that resolution and the plan attached thereto conform to the plan for development for the town. Assuming that you feel comfortable that it does conform, then we'd ask you to consider approval of this order this evening. Then we would move forward with a town council resolution approving your plan commission order. And then we would move along to publishing a notice to have a confirmatory resolution and a public hearing of the redevelopment commission. And at that point, we'd go back to the council to adopt one more resolution, and then this economic development area and the allocation areas therein would be officially created. And we would submit notice to both the county recorder and to the DLGF so that everybody is aware of what we've done. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about the process, the order, the resolution, or the economic development plan.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Anybody have questions, comments on this matter? Wayne, I'm assuming when this was first approved, way back when, this was all part of the consideration. This was something that was going to occur.
The creation of an EDA TIF for this area has always been something that's been talked about. Certainly the actions have taken a little longer to get here, so to speak, than what you normally have seen.
Okay.
Was it always to go as far north as it has? Because I wasn't on the council or the commission then.
No, the original conversation was focused on the farm, the
Okay.
58 acres, but certainly with many things have happened over the last 10 years, and this certainly seemed like a great opportunity to leverage the activity that's happening through there. You now have TIF districts that exist from 146th Street all the way down to Willow, which is the Holiday Farm area. And then this seems like a logical extension northerly, and you ultimately would really enhance the pedestrian connectivity and other projects that could be facilitated with additional public dollars more rapidly.
All right.
So here's kind of an odd question about this, because obviously we've been kind of going round and round with some of the stuff on Holiday Farms lately. And one of the comments you made to me, Wayne, was about that with Holiday Farms and the TIF that was set up there, they really haven't drawn any money down on that, correct?
That's correct. There's an EDA, but there has been no effort to date to work through a development agreement and ultimately results in a bond issuance. We certainly anticipate seeing that conversation possibly come to a conclusion this year with a end of year bond issuance for Holiday Farms TIF.
And so what point does the town get involved in the conversation that for granting all this, we can, I'll just be direct, extract some sort of what I will call a public benefit? And when I talk about the Holiday Farms piece, I'm talking about, the talk of a bridge over 421 to connect our trails. And I have the same concern as I read through this. I'm reading through this paragraph here that says the incentive allows the development of the PUD. And there's all the great verbiage, authentically Zionsville, whatever that means, green belts, for people to enjoy when visiting the site, to grab dinner, walk the trail. It's just so much blah, blah, blah. At what point, when we start creating these TIFs and putting these funds out there, does the town get in a position that we can actually get a benefit?
Great questions. And certainly the TIF districts that you have seen in the past have not been as aggressive in terms of split of the TIF dollars that are generated. But certainly your original economic development area for the downtown, the 900 acres that comprises that, I mean, you can count many public projects that have been created from that TIF, from the bridge over Eagle Creek at Lions Park to the Red Bridge enhancements south of downtown. other public enhancements through that area. Specifically to Holiday Farms, the split that's envisioned was 15 million towards the Holiday Farms project, and then 5 million for that civic enhancement, just a bridge. I mean, a bridge was going to be 4.3 million. Probably escalated in price since 2019. We're just going to guess that. But in the meantime, Holiday Farms is populating faster than what was anticipated. Therefore, these sewer flows are a bit more aggressive than what was contemplated, always knowing that we would have a sewer improvement project coming up. That project is on the horizon a little bit earlier. Mr. Lance gave a fantastic presentation on this on the 11th. So to your point, there will be projects that will be generated out of the Holiday Farms TIF that are public improvements. I'm just going to say within the next 3 to 5 years, take us a little bit to pull up a flyover bridge. Certainly this project here at the Gateway District, as identified in your economic development strategic plan of 2012, certainly folks here from the Skinnell team, Pittman team are here with any specific details, but yes, the reasoning to create this TIF district, among other reasons, the EDA is to help further, faster install pedestrian improvements along 421, along Michigan Road that might not all happen as quickly. For example, the connection at Willow to Holiday Farms, there's actually a missing link that was not provided for by any project. This is something that would be more quickly remedied by having this EDA in place.
Okay. In other words, it'll come at some point, but it's
Sooner.
rather than later.
I'm assuming the split's not been decided at this point in time.
Certainly in phase 1 of this project, it's very clear as to how the dollars would be allocated. Certainly future issuances will have more flexibility. Certainly if there's any specific deals that you'd like to hear about, I believe our financial advisors are online. I believe that's the case. And certainly again, Skinnell Pittman team is here as well.
Okay. Any further questions, comments? Would somebody like to make a motion?
And it could be for sake of process, Heather James, if there is a positive motion here, is that something out of just a recommendation from you as to what that language would look like?
Just a motion to approve the order would be sufficient, Wayne.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
I move that we approve the order.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed by nay. Motion's approved. So this will be forwarded to the town council.
Correct. We will look to place this on their May 2nd agenda.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Next item on the docket is 2022-13 DP, Zionsville Presbyterian Church Food Pantry, 4775 West 116th Street, Zionsville. Petition for development plan approval of a plus or minus 5,600 square foot building to serve as a food pantry in the urban BO, urban office business district, and within the urban MRO, Michigan Road Overlay Zoning District. Is the petitioner present? They online? Oh, you are? Okay, come on up.
I'm Mike Boyle. It's 8091 Crawfordsville Road with Boyle Construction. We're the general contractor design build for the ZPC food pantry. This is Eileen Davis. She's actually with ZPC.
Please proceed.
So, what we're trying to. So for the proposed food pantry, what we're looking to do is, it's actually a 5,600 square foot building. It's a wood framed building with a brick facade that matches the church brick veneer, and it has basically it's an area that has it's mainly it has like cold storage for food, and then dry foods, canned foods, and whatnot. They have 8 to 10 volunteers that help out the people, pick out their food, whatever necessities they do need, and then they take them out to their cars and help them load it up. There's 2 bathrooms in it for the use of the people as well as the volunteers, and there's a garage here that would house just their food van. It's like a E2500 Ford van, and then also they can use that to, when they back up trucks to receive food and whatnot, they can pull in there out of the elements and load it into their freezers. They have 2 walk-in coolers that will be in the building, and then the other will be actually be like a freezer chest with a refrigerator chest type equipment and throughout the building. And also then they'll have racks with all the dry food for distribution.
Is there anybody here who'd like to make a comment on this matter? In person, online? All right, staff report. Roger?
Thank you. Mr. Boyle did a fine job covering some of the basics. I'll go ahead and fill in some additional details for you. Requested is development plan approval for 5,600 square foot building to serve as the food pantry for the church. Currently, they operate this out of the existing building, and it is ministry that has grown where it's now warranting its own separate facility. This project, while before you tonight is the development plan approval, you should also be aware that they have filed for 2 different development standards variances, which will be heard by the Board of Zoning Appeals at the May meeting. So any motion that you make tonight, should you move to approve this, will need to be conditioned upon approval of those BZA requests. Specifically, those 2 BZA requests, one is for the architectural design of the food pantry. This is a little unique to you because this is a requirement of the Michigan Road overlay. And on previous projects where this has come up, you've been able to address this through the waiver process. The difference in this case is that the Zionsville Presbyterian Church is in the urban section of the Michigan Road overlay, as opposed to the other cases that you've heard, which have been in the rural section of the Michigan Road overlay. The rural section allows for this requirement to be treated by the Plan Commission as a waiver item. The urban section of the Michigan Road overlay does not give that same flexibility to the Plan Commission. So therefore, it will be a variance request that goes before the BZA. The second development standards variance that they are going to request for involves the green belt requirements of the Michigan Road overlay, specifically the amount of plantings that run along Michigan Road. The site, the way the building was constructed, essentially does allow for the required 30-foot width of green belt through that area, and they've provided for that. But the amount of plantings within that area has changed since when the church was first constructed to what is required now. They are proposing appropriate landscaping around the food pantry building itself, but the variance request will be that additional plantings will not be required out in the greenbelt area, which is somewhat removed from the location of the food pantry itself. So those are the 2 items that will be going before the BZA.
On that second variance, they just want to keep it status quo and not have to upgrade to the newer standards.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Because they're opening this up, so to speak, with this, they have to get a waiver on that?
Because they are doing new development
Right.
on their site, that now exposes the entire site to the current development standards.
Okay.
So with that brief or flyover, staff does recommend approval of this development plan for 5,600 square foot building to serve as the food pantry. Be glad to answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you. At this point, is there any questions, comments from any of the members of the Plan Commission?
I want to commend the Presbyterian Church. It's been a wonderful ministry in the county. It really has been.
I second that. You count me in here. It's a big piece of work.
Any further questions, comments? If not, is there a motion on this matter?
I move that docket number 2022-13-DP, a development plan for a 5,600 plus or minus square foot building to serve as a food pantry in the urban office business, urban B-O district, and within urban Michigan Road corridor overlay zone, be approved based on the findings of fact in the staff report and the staff recommendations, the submitted findings of fact, subject to resolution of outstanding review items identified by the engineering review memo in Exhibit 5 of the staff report, and subject to approval of the 2 requested development standards variances by the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? There's none. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you very much. Next on the docket is 2022-16 DPA Tim Lai Cohatch modification, 75 North Main Street, Zionsville. Petition for the modification of the development plan regarding building elevations in the VBD Village Business Zoning District. Is the petitioner present online? Okay. Please proceed. Name and address. Thanks.
Hi, good evening. My name is Tim Lai. I'm the architect of the project. My address is 401 West Town Street, Columbus, Ohio.
All right, thank you. Please proceed.
Do you want me to kind of talk about the project in general?
Yeah, I mean, just what the petition request is, reasons why, et cetera.
I see. So, okay, that's fine. That's cool. So, so this is actually a project that we got approval about a year ago. It's as you guys probably noticed, is the Cohatch building that we just got the temporary occupancy for the Cohatch side. And the North High Brewing side, the restaurant side is kind of finishing as we speak. One of the main reason why we come back for this small revision is because when we originally submitted for the approval, some of the engineering was not completed, and especially the rooftop unit at the back of the building that need to be added on because of the restaurant use, so we have to add, a rooftop unit basically at the back on the east side of the building, and there is some disconnect with the revision when we filed for it, and so anyway, so now we're coming back to present a basically updated design package of the site plan and the exterior elevation, and that's kind of the majority of it is really the rooftop unit and how we propose to screen part of it, and leave the other part somewhat open so that we can actually preserve the view of the circular window on the east side, as a suggestion from a neighbor. through communication with our construction team. There's some minor adjustment also on the site plan that we have to add a small kind of ramp in the patio area, just because the elevation was quite a bit different than what we originally anticipated. So we have to add that for code reason, really. And then there's a couple planters that we changed the colors. And there's also some downspout configuration that we have to make adjustment from the original design because of because just the way that the roof and the roof drain is needed to be adjusted. So that's kind of the main thing for the package.
All right, thank you. Is there anybody in the public who'd like to comment on this matter? Online? Nope. Roger, staff report.
Thank you. As Mr. Lay mentioned, the project before you is development plan amendment for the Cohatch project. Just to provide you a little bit of the history, back on May 17th of 2021, the Plan Commission approved docket number 2020-19-DP. That was for the renovation of a 10,800 square foot mixed use building, which is now known as the Cohatch project. The petitioner is requesting to amend the plans and primarily the building elevations that were approved at that meeting due to some modifications they've had to make during the construction process. There are really 4 items that I highlighted within the staff report for the 4 largest items of the modifications. One is the addition of the rooftop unit on the rear or east facade. And they are proposing a screening element to that rooftop unit, as Mr. Lay mentioned, around a portion of it, because they've had conversations with a neighbor who asked, essentially, don't screen the whole thing because we would prefer to be able to see the round window on the rear facade. And so they have accommodated that request, and that is what is reflected within your packet. The second item that I mentioned is really second and third kind of go together, is that the screening materials for the dumpster enclosure and also the mechanical yard on the property had been proposed to be vertically mounted composite material. They've changed that to a horizontally mounted wooden material in both locations. And then finally, the last item I noted was that the previously approved planter boxes would be changed from a wood material to a black metal product. The location of these planter boxes would be essentially on the south side of the outdoor dining area, providing somewhat of a buffer between the seating area and an adjacent alley. Staff does recommend approval of the development plan amendment for this in this petition. Glad to answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you. At this point, is there any questions, comments?
Sure. What material what type of wood, I guess I should say, are you planning to use for the screen wall, and what finish will it have around the mechanical units?
Sure. So the screen actually, because we do need to maintain certain kind of ventilation requirements, so it's not a solid screen. It is as you can see in the drawing, there's actual frames to it, and the wood components of it is actually going to wrap with a tube steel structure for the structural stability. And so the wood components of that would be I believe it's a painted cedar. So there are 2 colors to it. One is the frame, and the other is we call it the lattice, which is the open portion of the wood frame. The color of that would be painted to match the existing building. The existing building basically have a white trim for all the trim work, and then have a kind of a taupe color for the siding part of it. So it would match that basically. So the frame would be a white color to match, and then the field panel would be the beige taupe colors, if you will. And then there's also a railing around it for the open portion of it. That would be a tube steel, and that would be painted a kind of a warm dark gray, basically.
Yeah, painted cedar was really what I was concerned about versus treated lumber.
Right.
Thank you.
Roger, if this wasn't the rooftop unit and that, would this have come back to us or would the other be viewed as minor and could be handled administratively?
The rooftop unit on its own would have probably brought this back as a major change for you. And the other items on their own, it is possible they would have qualified as a minor.
Okay.
But when we saw the cumulative effect of everything. we
No,
thought it
I
was
mean, I was
appropriate
just
to bring that back.
Curious. So about that, I figured it was primarily driven by the rooftop unit. Okay.
I feel like the flower box change is an upgrade, just from a maintenance standpoint, to have the metal there. You're gonna have less maintenance than a painted wood that's got
Yeah.
soil in it that's getting watered all the time, so.
All right. Any other questions, comments? Can we have a motion on this matter?
I move the docket number 2022-16 DPA Development Plan Amendment / modification for the modifications of the previously approved development plan docket number 2021-19 DP being in the Village Business District VBD be approved based on the findings in the staff report, staff recommendation, materials as presented, and the submitted findings of fact.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion, comment? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Additional items on the docket to discuss is the 2022 filing schedule. Wayne, Roger, who's going to handle that?
Certainly, I actually have two quick items to walk you through. First is the listed item, the 2022 filing schedule. Certainly, this body may recall in 2010, certainly there is a very strong attitude and it continues to still carry forward of to give the information that in the picture that the town of Zionsville is open for business. And certainly one of your actions at that time was to move your BZA to monthly meetings instead of bi-monthly. So that's sort of a representation how times have changed. Now you have these bodies and boards that are meeting 2 nights in a row, heavy caseloads. These actions probably will continue on that intensity, and coupling that with the Plan Commission historically receiving matters from the staff that may have ample amount of items that are still open-ended from a petitioner, but certainly that has left the petitioner to remedy prior to receiving a building permit. Certainly the action of the enhanced caseload coupled against all of these other items that are left open-ended to be addressed during a final permit review is taxing the system a little too much, and then coupling that against the caseload, just generally speaking. So certainly outlining for you that, looking for your support of some concepts. First, the petitions that we bring to you will be more finalized. They will have less open-ended items, certainly working with petitioners to exercise, bringing you more petitions that are ready to go, so to speak. Certainly working with petitioners so they understand that. Secondly is the idea of lengthening your timeline from the time the petition comes in till the time it actually comes to a hearing. And this is to allow staff to work more diligently to prepare this matter for ultimately your hearing, and also to allow a petitioner to have things better put together. The 30-day time window that we've given ourselves is rapid, is not typical for the market in terms of petition processing. So we feel like with these two ideas coupled together, certainly the community will have better products to hear about at the petition process, because they will feel higher confidence in the number of items that need to be addressed. Certainly, with your support of these concepts, we'll move forward. Anything from amendments to your rules of procedure to modifications to schedules, and somewhere in there now is the opportunity to just move to first class notice for for the mailings, just making that a codified portion of your rules of procedure now. So there's a couple things, improvements just for the petition process and moving things forward that way. So that's the conclusion of this first discussion topic.
And the goal of this would be potentially to reduce continuations.
Certainly can be an outcome. It seems like an overall enhancement to the program to have projects that are more ready to go, so to speak, less likely to be continued, public seeing petitions that are more complete, and allowing staff to have more time to more thoroughly review the projects.
And then you would go through the rules of procedure and recommend modifications, and we'd have to pass that.
If there are any.
Right.
Yeah.
And this really would be more for 2023, or would you try to capture it for 2022?
We're going to look at it today.
Okay.
In my experience, it's very common from the time of filing until you get to the Plan Commission or BZA to have 60 days, and you guys are at 40, 45. So that extra 2 weeks can go a long way in resolving a lot of these outstanding issues before you actually hear it.
So you would just move up the initial filing date.
Right. If it's as simple as that, then we'll take care of that internally. I mean, yes, we've always brought your filing schedule to you just so you're aware of all the steps. So these are things that will make these adjustments and talk about it next month.
Okay.
So as an architect, I will tell you that you may get through your issues in that time period, but you're going to get less finalized plans and drawings submitted to you because of the amount of time that we have from when a project starts to when it needs to be filed for you guys to review, to when we need to get permits and what the client is willing to pay for before they get approval. So you may resolve more of your issues, but the drawings and stuff that we're going to be looking at may be less developed than they would otherwise be. I'm not suggesting we don't do it because I fully understand the time that you guys need. Just understand that this doesn't, while it fixes lots of things, there are also potentially some drawbacks to this.
And even if you tell somebody that this is not ready to go, I mean, just like everything, they can have their day in court whether it's ready or not. Is this essentially right?
Correct. This doesn't change the rules. And certainly as board members have pointed out before, there's different levels of clarity that are offered by drawings. And that ultimately, if the petitioner wants to push the ball forward, absent staff's suggestions, certainly sometimes projects on the front of you that are less than fully ready to go.
Okay. Would this take a motion, or is this just something you can?
Yeah, I think it's just a concurrence that Wayne and Roger will look at these and see what changes might be necessary to incorporate those types of things and then bring them back to you for more formal approvals.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. What was the other item then?
So, circling back on an email that we sent out earlier as a direct result of the town council actions this morning on the 18th at their meeting, referencing a project that they've had conversations about in Creekside Corporate Park, lots 10 and 11. Graham Rahal has a business interest in Brownsburg, and that same business interest would be something that would relocate potentially or expand to Zionsville. And certainly that conversation has engaged the redevelopment commission. This was a presentation that was offered to them on March 28th. Fully see the slideshow that was offered and the YouTube videos. Certainly it was mentioned at the town council this morning because it's also well known that the combination of uses does not fully fit the PUD as it's written today. Therefore, if this project is to receive any consideration, it would require the PUD to be updated to encapsulate the land uses, the totality of the land uses that are in the mix.
And the process there would be the town council would request a change that would come to us, and then we would.
Well, there's a number of different ways. I mean, certainly this morning, the town council made the statement that it did. At least town council president Plunkett. I did provide direction to Mr. Plunkett I thought very specifically as to what wording could be used. You may recall that you have seen both this happened 2 times prior, at least in my tenure here, with the Calico Corner site, and more recently with the Cato site. Certainly the Plan Commission, if it does not view this morning's discussion as direction to commence with the rezoning, certainly the Plan Commission in support of the interest of the town council as represented in the video, and certainly the interest as indicated in the RDC's video from the body, could ask staff to commence with that rezoning activity. This was something that would come back to your docket for your June meeting.
Would a formal request from the town council, would that take a motion or?
It would for the town council to do it, but as Wayne mentioned, you can do it on your own. Okay. So that's one of the different options. The town council can formally move to have you proceed forward with that, but the plan commission has that authority statutorily to do it on their own also.
Okay.
If you're so inclined.
Discussions, thoughts?
I printed that off. It's really interesting. I had seen some things they had in Brownsburg because I was down there for some other reasons. And I thought, I wonder if they would be moving any of that up here. It looks pretty neat.
And just what parts of the PUD are we needing to modify?
Well, certainly on lots 10 and 11, at a minimum, full retail is not something that is permitted by right. Certainly on lots 10 and 11, it envisions a use, and you could have accessory retail, such as a first floor restaurant or a bank component or a coffee shop. It does not fully speak to standalone buildings that are 100% retail. So that's just one of a few examples.
I would say some of the architectural standards too, that don't fit with, I would even say the Zionsville theme for, talking about pediments and columns and stuff that's not, we don't see in the Zionsville theme, let alone would see in a commercial building in that area either. I would just say that if we're going to make an accommodation for them, that we try and look at the entire site, because I know that some of the things that they're going to want from a materiality or a use may also be able to be adapted in other areas of the site. But I would hate to give them a different standard than everybody else is held to.
No, certainly that's a great point. We in Creekside right now, as the RDC's agenda last month indicated, and certainly the agenda will indicate this month, there is strong interest in almost every lot in Creekside. And almost every lot in Creekside could benefit, any remaining open lot for sale lot could benefit from some PUD modifications. We're looking at a PUD that is 6-7 years old at this time. And certainly any document needs to be refreshed. Yes, that document has been refreshed 4 times, I believe, since it was written. Zoning ordinances should constantly be updated, constantly adapting to innovation, certainly also constantly adapting to market pressures and changes. And this is representative of that based on town council's conversations. Certainly they are focused on that. There are other opportunities here to look at the remainder of the park in terms of other opportunities to modify zoning to be more reflective of market. And we would certainly look to take advantage of that.
And if we wanted to direct Wayne and his team to start that, drafting that, we would both make a motion for that, correct?
Correct, sir.
Anybody's thoughts on this?
I think moving sooner than later is probably a good thing. Yeah. I think to Wayne's comment, there's a lot of activity in the park, and we have really the chance right now with the conditions as they are, that if we can make some of these changes, we may see that park be full this time next year, at least with lots under design and or construction.
With complete development plan, so we can not continue.
Yes.
Working both of those in there at the same time.
All right, so there's a motion to, begin a redraft or a modification of the PUD.
Modification of the Creekside PUD.
Is there a motion? Is
So moved.
there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Motion carries 6-0. Is there anything else? There's a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
See y'all tomorrow.
Yeah.
Same bad time.